collect information from numerous sources, and support his points and opinion with specific facts, examples, and illustration. The time requirement is 5 to 7 minutes. The title of his presentation is How I Got My Life Back in Order. Please help me welcome Shola.
I'm Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. 2 years ago, on a Friday evening, I got back home after a very rough day at work, and I was tired and hungry. And when my wife saw me, the first thing she said to me was, Shola, did you remember to get the milk from the store? Oops, I forgot. But instead of apologizing, I snapped at her. I then went down to the kitchen to have my dinner. But to my surprise, my 10-year-old daughter had eaten my dinner. I was livid, and I gave her a piece of my mind. Unfortunately, that wasn't the first time I had done that. It had become a new normal for me. And afterwards, I had a feeling of compunction. I was embarrassed. I then realized that my life was spiraling out of control, and it was definitely starting to get out of order. And if I did not do something about it quickly, it would be too late. I started searching for a solution. And I searched and searched, but to no avail. Until 3 months later, I met a friend of mine who had a similar problem. And he recommended a book to me titled Order. And this book was written by a man called Dr. Mensa Otabil, a renowned preacher. And the book described 3 principles of order. And I knew I needed order in my life to get my life back on track. As I began to implement those 3 principles, things began to change slowly but surely. I like to describe those 3 principles that were highlighted in the book to you. The first principle is the principle of illumination. And it simply says, let there be light. When there is light, there is clarity. When there is light, you are able to assess the true state of things. The first thing that Hector did when he walked into this room was to turn on the light. And it helped him to assess where things were. Obviously, the tables were not arranged in the proper order. And he was able to do something about it because there was clarity. I knew that I needed clarity in my life. And so I began to solicit feedback from my wife, from my children, from my pastor, from my mentors. And as I had various discussions with them, they began to shed light on my shortcomings. That was the first principle. The second principle detailed in the book is the principle of differentiation. And this simply states that things should be separated and grouped together based on similarities or functionalities. I knew I had to separate my family life from my career, from my spiritual life, and from my health. I could not afford to treat them the same way. And so I separated all this and put them in different compartments so that I could deal with them appropriately. The third principle highlighted in the book is the principle of prioritization, which simply states that things should be listed based on their level of importance. I had to find out my own priority list. And I sat down and began to think about it. Until finally I came up with a list. And I'll share the list with you. Number 1 on my list was my relationship with God. And number 2 is my relationship with my wife. Number 3 was my relationship with my children. Number 4 was my health. And number 5 was my vocation, my career, my calling. After establishing this list, every decision thereafter was weighted against this list. And slowly but gradually, I saw things change for the better for me. I began to put my life back in order. And after 2 years, I knew that I rescued my life from that once of former chaotic position. And I knew my life was finally back in order. Fast forward to last week Friday. I came back from work as usual. I had a rough day at work. I was hungry and I was tired. And I rushed to the kitchen. And lo and behold, I saw my daughter. I said, "Daddy?" I said, "Yes, honey." I said, "Guess what? I'm sorry, but I ate your dinner." Well, this time around, I was a changed man. I said, "Darling, it's okay. That means Daddy will be fasting tonight." Well, ladies and gentlemen, my life was changed because I adopted those 3 principles in my life. The principle of illumination, the principle of differentiation, and the principle of prioritization.